Oh my!
It's Dynamite!
Wednesday night Dynamite!
So Dynamite!
This is awesome! This is this, this is that, this is this! Hey everybody, have a great time!
It's Dynamite!
I'm not one of these f***ing goof podcasters out there. I am Don Tony, Wednesday night Dynamite! All right, enough of that. What's going on, everybody? Wednesday night Dynamite, January 27th, 2021. Wow, we're almost at the end of January already. This month flew. It flew. But I got to tell you, I think we had a pretty damn good month, enjoying your company. And I am here tonight. Gonna keep it a little simple. Now, I wish there was any way that you could feel, I know this sounds a little like New Day-ish, but I wish you could feel my body right now. My hands are ice cold. My head is hot. I know what somebody's gonna say. No, I don't have COVID. A little bit under the weather. Have not slept good the last 2 days. And I'm feeling it today. So, believe me when I tell you, we're going to get through this show super fast tonight. Super, super, super fast. And quite honestly, NXT, AEW, decent shows. I don't think anything surprised anybody out there as far as results go. If you remember last week, we talked about it. This setup for Jungle Boy versus Dax Harwood was, pretty much a given. We all thought Jungle Boy was going to get it. I don't think we realized how good that match was going to be. Jungle Boy tonight, I kind of wish JR would have said it, because JR has some iconic quotes over the years. Hell, all the announcers at some point have some iconic quotes. Unfortunately for Tony Schiavone, since he's been in AEW, I think the most iconic quote that he said so far is, "It's Sting!" But I could just picture Jim Ross saying, "Tonight, Jungle Boy became a man." I know it sounds cliche, but that match was fire tonight. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. And by the way, look, I know I brag sometimes a lot, but didn't I tell you all 2 weeks ago when I opened up the show and changed the lyrics that Tarzan Boy by Baltimore was going to catch on like Fandango? Oh. Saw that a mile away. And I like it. What's wrong with it, man? It's feel good. You can picture people drunk, going to a wrestling show, AEW going, oh. What is so wrong with that? Seriously, what is so wrong with that? And speaking of wrong, allow me 2 minutes to just get this off my chest. I saw it written on social media. I saw people that I don't want to say I respect, because half the people you see online, you don't know the true people behind the print or the voice. But I saw people that I sort of respect that do shows or blogs actually are posing this question. And if I knew that they were big AEW fans or supported the product, maybe I would have respectfully disagreed, but almost everybody that is throwing this out there are not AEW fans. And I wrote this on Twitter today, and I really mean it. You got to be some special dick to have any problem with -1 Brodie Jr. doing a little bit of guest commentary on AEW Dark. Oh my God, he was on TV 3 times. Is this overblown? When does this become too much? You got to be a special kind of dick to have any problem with that. You're not even, most of you, 90% of the people saying that dumb shit don't even like AEW. But as I was reading this the last 24 hours, because Brodie Lee Jr. was doing some commentary yesterday, made Taz laugh. It was funny. It was a feel-good moment. People are making a big... All I kept thinking about was 1996. Anybody know why I'm saying 1996 right now? Come on, chat room. Here's your chance to shine on the recap. Show everybody that you know. Why would I say 1996 as I'm reading this god-awful garbage of people saying, yeah, when are you going to stop with Brodie Lee Jr.? He's an 8-year-old kid. I know they feel bad about his dad's death, but why do they keep doing this? Don't you think it's a little bit too much now? Anybody? NWO. When do we have NWO Jr.? Lion got it. As these goofs are writing this, I'm thinking of this. Thinking of that. I'm thinking of this. Tyler Fullington, who is actually younger than Brodie Lee Jr. I'm thinking of this. I was around when this storyline happened. In fact, I started doing my wrestling hotline less than 9 months after that. And I'm telling you, nobody online was ripping it apart and this and that. This is what I have to say to you. Or you know what? I just thought of it. This is how I say it to you. How's that? How's that for -1? For all you little fucking cocksuckers out there that don't even like AEW, that have a problem with it, there you go. Here's your -1. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. You got to be a special kind of dick. Assholes. Anyway, off my chest. If you agree, look, if you disagree with me, please, I beg you, write in the comment section. I don't bite. You know, I understand, you know, some people that may feel that way. If you're an AEW fan and maybe you feel like, oh, well, you know, what happens the day they tell the kid, you know, he can't be on anymore? Well, guess what? That's mom's job. Son, you know, we can't keep going back over there right now. That's mom's job. This, shut up. Actually, you know what? It's almost like, was it for life? I do this. There you go. Here's my for life for you. Assholes. Anyway. Impact Wrestling. Didn't we say last week that it was a much better show? That this week would be the telltale sign if fans are going to start taking the product a little bit more seriously? 186,000 viewers. No advertisements for AEW matches. Yes, we got the Tony Schiavone, Tony Khan vignette circa Vince McMahon 1993, which I'm enjoying tremendously. They did 186,000 viewers. Highest rating they've done since Kenny Omega has started showing up over there. I'm telling you, if they focus on more serious stuff and not all that carny crap, I think that they break 300,000 viewers within the next month or two. I really do. They have some great talent there. And hey, you heard all the rumors, as did I. What was going to happen with Trey Miguel? Oh my God, the Rascals debuted in NXT as MSK. Where does Trey Miguel fit in all of this? Well, Trey Miguel is back in Impact Wrestling. Personally, I think it's the best place for him to be. as a singles wrestler, when you think of all the wrestlers in NXT that he'd have to leapfrog, especially when you see that they can't even do anything for Santos Escobar, what is he going to do? What is he going to do? He's back in Impact. He'll be able to shine a little bit more. Bravo Impact for getting him back. Now, I will also say, we're a couple of steps ahead. You get a step backwards, and man, oh man, is Impact Wrestling like milking this Rich Swann championship, as is AEW and Kenny Omega. Think about it. Kenny Omega is their champion. And really, what feuds has he had? He won that belt in December. We're now approaching February. What is actually happening with this title reign? I'm not going to overly criticize it because we've seen that happen in other companies. If I'm going to criticize one, I got to criticize the other. But when you announce their No Surrender pay-per-view as this championship match, I know it's Tommy Dreamer's 50th birthday on February 13th. Yeah. I mean, nothing against Tommy Dreamer. Obviously he has given me 20 plus years of entertainment, and I very selfishly took it in and loved it most of the time. But this idea that, Rich Swann comes out, because it's your birthday. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. I want to fight you on the pay-per-view. Was this fucking Make-A-Wish? This is what they come up with? What happened to, Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers? Rich Swann is in storyline. I'm talking storyline right now. Rich Swann is yet to try to show up at AEW to give a receipt to Kenny Omega. They just teased Moose versus Rich Swann, and we got that. Man, I understand we're still in COVID, and they're trying to stretch out storylines an extra month, as other companies have as well. But when your ratings are this, you kind of have to step on the gas pedal a little bit. It's kind of like if you're in a running race, and you're 10 laps behind, or even a car race, you're 10 laps behind, and you decide, you know what, I'm 10 laps behind. I have people that are riding also that could kind of help me a little bit. But you know what? Instead of me hitting the gas pedal and trying to make up for those 10 laps, I'll put it on cruise control for another fucking month. I'll put it on cruise control. Did you ever think tonight that we would talk about Raven and Tommy Dreamer at the same time? I actually think that's pretty cool. I actually do think that's pretty cool. By the way, shout out to everybody who's tuning in live tonight. Big shout out to Papo Jr. At least we could have had a bachelor's party. Yeah, you know what? That's a very good point. They should have been, even if it wasn't on Dynamite Live, they should have filmed a couple of scenes, showed 2 minutes of it, and you know what? I would have did a spoof for the whole bachelor's party. I would have had people playing video games. Hell, I would have had some. I don't have the. I threw the costume, most of it out. But I would have had Mario come out and do a little dance and toss the hat and fling it and this and that. They could have had a wrestler dress up as Mario or Luigi and then try to attack Kip Sabian. That's an excellent point, Papa Jr. They should have done that. They do. Ass backwards. We talked about the Inner Circle and all these storylines just really falling flat. You look at the Las Vegas thing. The Las Vegas thing, when you look back at that, just think about this for a minute. You go back and you look at that Las Vegas thing that they did and all the things that they filmed with Conan and Hornswoggle and this and that and the hotels and showing, Sammy married to 3 people and somebody sitting in the fountain and this and that. Do you realize how much money and how much time they invested to do that? They didn't just do that in an hour. And you mean to tell me You hype up a wedding with Miro as the best man. His whole character's been, I'm the best man. And the best man doesn't even throw a bachelor party. And it's not shown on Dynamite even for a minute. But you do all that for that inner circle? Papo, you nailed it. You nailed it. And by the way, speaking of ass backwards, I know I'm jumping ahead, but I want to get into both shows tonight and get out of here because I am under the weather today. Something else. I don't want to bore anybody with anything, but it's the God honest truth. And you know me, I always provide proof. I will show a little bit of proof. My father today went for a stress test. And my mom calls me up a little bit upset, like around 2 o'clock today. And she says, look, could you come here Thursday or Friday? I'm like, yeah, what's up? My father did the treadmill on the stress test. And after he does the treadmill, they put you on a table. If anybody's ever had a stress test done, you know what I'm talking about. They put you on a table, they inject some fluid in you, and then they do take pictures of your heart. So the fluid that they put in you, I guess, maybe speeds up your heart a little bit, slows it down. My father almost passed out. They had to put him on a floor and put, I guess, like those salts, smelling salts or whatever. I never even knew that they did that. Anyway, bottom line is, when that happened, the doctor was concerned. The doctor looked at the results from the heart and everything, and my father's got to get at least 1 or 2 stents put in. So if anybody that follows me on Patreon, you know that my uncle, you know, when I always told the story when I got thrown out of my house and I was at my uncle's house and then I ended up joining the Navy because I had no place to go. I got kicked out of my house. My Uncle Joe. And here, let's put a little wrestling in it. My Uncle Joe is the Uncle Joe that I always told you all the story when I was a kid. And my uncle, I was over my aunt's house on a Saturday night. And my uncle's like, why are you watching that fake shit? I'm like 8 years old. I'm like, Uncle Joe, I like watching it. It's real. It's not fake. And my Uncle Joe's like, Fina, give me a tape. You got a tape? Give me a tape. And I'm looking. I'm like, I don't know what this guy's doing. He puts it in that old Quasar big VCR. He records like 10, 20 seconds of it. He goes back and he pushes it in slow motion so I could see Mr. Fuji and Mr. Saito go like this to Chief J Strongbow to show me that it's fake. Went all out there to make an 8-year-old miserable. My Uncle Joe was awesome. He was a little prick. Maybe I got a little of Uncle Joe inside me. But my Uncle Joe, about 10 years ago, was supposed to go for a stress test. They were a little concerned about him, you know, losing breath and this and that. He was supposed to go to a stress test, and he postponed it. 2 days later, he died of a heart attack. Heart attacks run in my family, especially my father's side. Heart attacks and cancer. So that kind of knocked me for a loop today as well. So my father is going to the hospital either tomorrow or the day after. I'm sure he'll be fine. But, you know, when you realize that 10 years ago, almost the identical thing happened, and my uncle's like, I'll do the stress test the week after, and he died 2 days later. So got my father on my mind right now, so if I'm a little rattled, that's the God honest truth. I don't make up shit like this. Trust me, you think I sit here and say, hey, how can I get attention? Oh, okay, my father's got to get a stent. Trust me, my father will insist that the nurse takes a picture of him in the hospital and all that, you know. So, anyway, so we talked about Impact Wrestling with the ratings. We talked about Trey Miguel returning to Impact, which I think is fucking phenomenal. Now, thank you, Neil Ray. Thank you very much. And thank you all out there. You know, I didn't say this so everybody could say, you know, best wishes, get well, this and that. There's a lot of things, even about me, that I don't even put on social media because, you see a lot of people that do that just for attention. But, you know, if my mind seems a little bit off today, trust me, one side of me feels like shit and the other side of me is worried about my father. So I'm certain he'll be okay. But, you know, you always got to keep that thought in you. And, oh, by the way, tomorrow night, don't forget, cheap plug, Ask DT returns. We're not 100% settled on the name yet. I know we had a little controversy on Monday. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm not said on the name. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but don't forget, tomorrow night, we give away this beautifully signed. Look around. You don't find Ronda Rousey signed photos in her WWE garb. You find MMA photos. You find still headshots. Very rare you find something like this. And not only that, it's Beckett authenticated. The serial number is on the bottom. If you go to Beckett's website and you type it in, you'll see that very photo, that exact signature. It's real. It's damn real. So we'll give that away. It will be a Who Am I contest again. Everybody's loving the Who Am I stuff. The Casey Catanzaro one last week really worked out well. I mean, it was just, it really worked out nicely. So I haven't figured out yet who I'm going to use, but I will promise that it'll be a name of today. It'll be somebody who's currently active. I'll give you that, hint. But, it could be, I don't think I would use Japan unless it's somebody really, really legendary. I would probably stick with the United States for the simple reason, you can even use the UK, I guess, but for the simple reason that 95% of you out there don't watch Japanese wrestling. You might watch clips here and there, but not religiously. So tune in tomorrow night. We'll do it 10:05 p.m. Eastern, as we've done the last couple of weeks. It'll be a lot of fun. Oh, by the way, did I do this again? All right. We could move on from that. So, next week we have the wedding, Kip Sabian, Penelope Ford. Obviously somebody's going to... Wait, I just thought of something. You mean to tell me that this Charles Taylor has already been the butler almost 30 days? Because if I remember correctly, wasn't like his 30 days ends in like 2-3 days after? You mean to tell me it's already been 3 weeks? Holy shit. Holy shit. But let's get back to Ass Backwards. I didn't forget. Ass Backwards, Inner Circle. The Ass Backwards sloppy writing continues. I will say this, though. I will say this, and I mean this sincerely. Chris Jericho tonight teamed up with MJF against the Varsity Blondes. Chris Jericho, now I'm guessing here, I don't want to be one of these ringside news goofs. Oh, we got exclusive. But DT's got an exclusive. Chris Jericho has a message for everybody who criticized and made fun of, more made fun of his Lionsault last week. Chris Jericho wanted to tell everybody tonight this. Perfect Lionsault. Got the pin. And I think when Chris Jericho nailed it, he's like, yeah, you know what? Stay down. Because that was a big FU to every... And look, I'll be a little bit fair here. Chris Jericho, obviously, you know the phrase I use... You put on a couple of pounds, you get older in your career. In my neck of the woods, people that like someone, they don't say, wow, he got fat. Oh, man, he got fat. Why do you put on all this fat? No, in my neck of the woods, you care about someone, they put on some pounds. You say, oh, he looks healthy. On Anderson, oh, he looks healthy. D'Lo Brown, he looks healthy. D. Malenko, he looks healthy. Mike Rotunda, he looks really healthy. I mean, that's what you do. But Chris Jericho tonight showed, he could still do it. It's sometimes, maybe a little bit of the bounce goes away as you age. I mean, that happens. But I was very happy tonight to see him nail it so perfectly. So perfectly. He eats well, yes, Space Mountain, or for heterosexuals out there. Oh, his wife, wow, she must be a great cook. I've heard that saying all throughout my life, even family members saying that. His wife must be a great cook. And I say to myself, realizing it after all these years, that's probably a complete opposite. Because usually when a wife or husband is a horrible cook, that's when you order takeout. That's when you order fried foods. That's where you order munchies and you order mozzarella sticks and this. That's usually, when someone's a really good cook, sometimes I think you eat a little bit healthier. So, Oh, DX girl, happy birthday. Happy birthday. So, should we finally get to the ass backwards in a circle stuff? Okay. First off, explain to me last week, the Young Bucks beat up Don Callis. Don Callis brings the Good Brothers to AEW. The Young Bucks beat up Don Callis, and the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks get along today? Even if the Young Bucks are setting up the Good Brothers, why would the Good Brothers act like no big deal? And don't give me this, well, Don Callis, he just took his lumps and this and that. Hogwash. If this was a G-rated show, I'd say hogwash. But it's not, so I say bullshit. Bullshit. The ex-girl, enjoy. What are you doing listening to this show on your birthday? Go enjoy it. I'm kidding. I'll do a couple of shout-outs. Let me do this ass backwards moment that I've kind of like teased for 10 minutes now. So, next week, we're going to have a tag team battle royal. It's going to be Private Party versus Top Flight versus Jurassic Express versus FTR versus the Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed versus the Dark Order versus every member of the Inner Circle. Sammy Hagar, Santana Ortiz, MJF, and Jericho. Why am I keep looking like this? Didn't they just have a fucking match last week where the winning team would go on to pursue the tag titles? Why are all three teams in this battle royal after the fucking thing that happened last week? This is exactly what I've been talking about for months. There is zero consistency. Now, don't get me wrong. I like all the members of the Inner Circle, and I'm looking forward to when Sammy Guevara breaks out. But seriously, think about that for a minute. Is there any logic? And then the best part, if the Young Bucks are the tag champs, obviously, the winner of the Battle Royal faces the tag champs. Well, wait a minute. Then why are the Young Bucks in the Battle Royal? Because if the Young Bucks win the Battle Royal, then they could pick the team they want to face. And as you saw at the close of Dynamite tonight, they looked at the Good Brothers. The Good Brothers are not AEW contracted wrestlers. So even if they wanted the Good Brothers, they can't force that. I mean, come on. Who the fuck is writing this? Seriously. I mean, I know for a majority of you out there, getting this deep probably doesn't matter all that much. You just want good, entertaining fun, and I get that. But if a fifth grader could write this shit, sooner or later, put it this way. There's a reason why daytime soap operas fail. Because if anybody's ever experienced watching a daytime soap opera, or if your parents, when you were younger, and your parents, or especially moms, would watch daytime soap operas, I mean, what would you see happen? Man meets woman, man fools around with woman, man gets woman pregnant, some complications happen, and then woman finds out the man is married to someone else, so she tries to, do something to the other woman, and then the other woman confronts the other woman, and then the guy's with the two women, and then they have a menage. No, I'm sorry, I'm drifting into Pornhub here. No, but you see what it is. Oh, we have scandals, married, cheating, ripoff, fraud, power, no power, homeless, married. And some of them, because they're so cliche, people are like, we're going to watch this. Some of this shit it feels very Bush League. Very Bush League. I'm not one of these podcasters that makes their living just shitting on the world. All right? I want to enjoy everything that I'm enjoying. But stuff like this is written for a second grader. If I wrote a book report, or if you got to write a little short story, and I wrote that 6 friends. They were going to break up into 3 groups of 2, and they were going to fight each other, and or they were going to shoot hoops. And whichever 2 won the hoops contest, they would go on to participate in the local hoops contest against other duos. And then the following week, those same 6 people are playing in the tournament. I would have got a F for, the fuck is this? Horrible. Plus, as we talked about, AEW Battle of the Belts, that is trademark. I think it's been approved. If it hasn't, it's been applied. You mean to tell me you can't see that a mile away? Battle of the Belts. You probably have the Young Bucks versus the Good Brothers. They'll try to maybe do a storyline. Let's up the antes a little bit. Titles versus titles. Maybe, if Rich Swann could, when he spins around, when he's dancing, maybe he spins around and points to Jacksonville. Maybe they end up doing Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann. I have no idea. Will any of the NWA titles be involved? Explain to me why Serena Deeb would be in the AEW Women's Eliminator match. And by the way, she's going to be fighting Riho, who's making her return very, very soon. I don't know, man. There's just a few things that to me are just a little bit too careless, in my opinion. But anyway, so now before we go any further, couple of quick shout outs, then we'll get into the TV results. Neil Ray, thank you again, my friend. And thank you all for the kind words. Trust me, I'll be honest. If I went to my dad tomorrow, I'm swear to God with this. If I went to my dad tomorrow and said, Dad, I did my show last night. I swear to God, I should record this just for laughs. If I went to my dad tomorrow and said, Dad, I did my show last night. I know you don't know any of these people, but they really, really wanted to send their heartfelt thoughts that everything goes well and everything. I mean, it was hundreds of people sending. My dad's words with me? Why are you wasting your time doing these shows? What are you, 10 years old? You're going to get married. You got to pay off bills. What are you spending all this time? If you have all this free time, then you should open a second insurance office. That's what my father would do. I swear to God. If I could sneak the camera, might be audio only because I'll probably have to act like the camera is like facing the floor. But if I do that, I will bet you anything that that's the words out of his mouth. That's how my father is. I kid you not. But thank you, Neil. That was very, very nice of you and everybody. Jay Carlos, same to you, my brother. Thank you. You know you don't have to do that. By the way, did you get your prize from last week? I hope you got it by now. And if you did, let me see pictures. I want to see it proudly displayed. So very, very cool. Very cool. Wow, that's actually pretty cool. I actually just realized that there's a little setting. I've been playing around with the screens and everything because we're going to start taking calls during February. We're going to launch memberships in a couple of days. Couple of things Mish and I are working on. Going to try to set it up where not only this chat could be available online, but we're working on another one too. And I just realized that I could actually change colors and everything. But it's going to be cool when we do the memberships because I haven't done it yet, and I'm going to set up my own first. No, I won't display it, but it's supposed to pop up and make all these special effects and everything. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. So we'll see what happens. So anyway, I can't help it, man. I'm looking at that. I like Tommy Dreamer. I know that story that he told where he almost showed up at WrestleMania. You know that story, right? It's twisted, man. I don't want to ruin anybody's night, but if anybody out there doesn't know the story, Tommy Dreamer revealed something a couple of years ago. Made me feel awfully uncomfortable. And I went to an autograph signing that he was at, and I wanted to say hello, and I just was like, I can't. Now I'm over with that. But to hear him talk about depression, I mean, depression is no joke. Obviously, you can't take, stuff for granted. Some of the people that smile the most are the ones in the most pain. And, when he said that he was going to show up at WrestleMania a long time ago and commit some form of violence, I'll just leave it at that. If you want to know the full story, go look around. Pretty twisted, man. I will say this. Thank God that he has happiness, because I can only imagine how that feels to be in that dark of a place. Seriously. And you know what? I've always felt that things that dark might be better left kept inside, but maybe he feels a whole lot better releasing that and just telling it. So, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, some people are saying, yeah. Some people don't know what I'm talking about. I'll say it. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of it. When ECW went out of business and all that debt and everything that happened, and there was a lot of people that were just not just financially hit, but emotionally hit. Tommy Dreamer went into a deep depression, and at one point he thought about showing up at WrestleMania, killing Paul Heyman, and then killing himself on camera. I mean, that's deep. That's crazy. I don't mean crazy like crazy. I just like, oof. Especially someone that, you just enjoyed tremendously for all those years. I mean, I never want to be in a dark place where I envision taking people out, taking myself out. Honestly, if I ever felt that way, I probably would just enjoy a couple of extra oxys and take a stiff drink. Hopefully go to sleep. I don't wake up. So I'm a pussy like that. But you know what? I don't mind. And I haven't had thoughts like that. So, Addison Miller. I know, he says I'm not wasting my time. Look, when I tried to train to become a pro wrestler in 96, I had the ECW bug in the backyard wrestling and all of that, and I got into my car accident. I was in the hospital room, and my father came in, and the first words out of his mouth was, "Keep driving like you do." He was vicious on me. Then he's like, go fight. Whatever you were doing, go jump off a building now. I had a broken hip, a broken pelvis, shattered ankles, shattered this. One day I'll show you some of the scars. I mean, it's crazy shit. Scar that goes from like a little above my knee in the back that goes all the way halfway up my back. One cut. But yeah, it was his first words. My mom was in the hospital for 2 straight days, because I was in a coma for a day and a half. And the first words out of my father was, "Keep driving like that." But trust me when I tell you, I know a lot of you will disagree, but my dad is the best dad in the world, seriously. So, but thank you for that, Addison. Thank you. Jay Carlos. Oh, he did get the post up. Jay, you could write it on there. It's all good, but thank you. It's awesome, man. Awesome. And you know what? If you win this tomorrow, good for you, man. I mean, everybody is equally in the contest. We don't, make people like some places, you can only win once in 30 days. Fuck that. Dayak, best wishes to my dad. He loves Reba. Reba. Online, she's like, "I'm not Reba. I'm Rebel." Like, just say you're fucking Reba. She's not a bad wrestler. If you go on YouTube, you actually will see that Reba could actually work a little bit. I think the problem is, they're not giving her much, in-ring time. And don't give me, maybe they work out before the show starts. It's not the same. It's not the same. Because timing is critical. And when you're just working out and there's no one else in the arena and the cameras aren't on you, there's no pressure. And if you're a little off, you're like, let me just do this again. No. I mean, that's why even when I do the shows live, you know what the funny thing is? Seriously, and I'm not trying to compare myself to Reba. But Mish will tell you this. When Mish and I pre-record a show, not live, when we record it, no one's listening, sometimes I have to do 5 and 6 takes to start the show. I always stumble. I fumble over my words. Something is not right. He will tell you, whenever we record, 9 times out of 10, I have to do a second, a third, or a fourth take. No, let's start over. But live, that's it. It's live. If I don't have, I mean, once in a while, this will happen. I know you couldn't hear me, but, you know, little things like that are inexcusable. So when you know that you have to do it live, you have to turn it up a little bit. And she's not bad, but, you know, other than being a sidekick to Britt Baker, you know, there's not much there. But I will say this. I like Britt Baker wearing the pink glove. She's got to get a regular glove, though, because that is the, you know, the latex. And trust me when I tell you, she's going to do moves. And anybody have that happen? You put on a glove and you have the latex and you kind of like, oh, I got an itch, and the middle's split. And then next thing you know, it splits down here. And it's going to look kind of goofy when she does the mandible claw and half the latex glove is like hanging outside the mouth. So, but her and Shauna, not a bad match today. I'm very curious to see what happens with her and Britt Baker. Yeah, Britt Baker versus Britt Baker. I want to see what happens with her and Thunder Rosa. I'm very curious to see what happens. Very curious. So, with that said, let's talk about AEW first. Let's talk about NXT, and then we'll get out of here. But just in closing about Battle of the Belts, keep that thought on your mind, because Battle of the Belts, it looks like it's going to be Impact versus AEW, and now I'm starting to lean to the idea that it's not a whole event. It's not going to be women's champion, you know, Deonna Purrazzo versus, you know, Hikaru Shida, which honestly I actually would love to see. I think the Battle of the Belts might be a trademark for one match. Just one match. You see how far they go? For like the Inner Circle and the Young Bucks. And yes, they work their asses off, so deservingly so. But for some other, but you know what? Kudos to Tony Khan for getting the rights to that song by Baltimore for Jungle Boy, because, like I said, there's something. The guy actually does have some great ideas. You know, Sammy was giving him props today because they came out with the Sammy Guevara figure and it's holding the sign. You know, when Guevara was coming out with the signs, that was Tony Khan's idea. And Tony Khan, with this theme for Jungle Boy, knew. He had that premonition that it would have like a Fandango type thing. You know whose song was like that? Shinsuke Nakamura, when everybody would do it. You know who else? Another song like that? Bailey's song, when everybody would serenade. Remember? So even though this is a cheesy 80s song, but he knew, he had the wherewithal to realize, you know what? I could picture fans just having fun and doing that song. So, little things like that I like. I like that. So, anyway, I know for a lot of you out there, for the first 18 minutes of AEW Dynamite, you basically got this. The audio only people are like, what the fuck is he doing? Kevon Lewis, you don't get that? Good. For 18 minutes to open up Dynamite tonight, we got nothing but a blank screen. Nothing but a blank screen. I had to go on YouTube, and there was some bootleg streams of Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston. I watched it on 1.5 speed. So when Eddie Kingston, did you see that? Eddie Kingston like spun around to do like the spin around punch. Lance Archer grabbed his arm, and Eddie Kingston looks at Lance Archer and he's like, And then he ran the ropes. Watch it, that at 1.5 speed. 1.5 times the speed. It's like, it's funny, man. I fucking love Eddie Kingston's work. I've been singing the praise of that guy for so many years. Hey, Darby's going to get canceled. Oh, we'll talk about that segment. I'm tough. He throws his skateboard through a little plex window. And then Sting. And by the way, that was a real bat tonight. You could tell by the edge of the bat. That was not the plastic bat. But even when Sting was punching some windows, and the windows, what is that? I am the table? I am the window. We need Botchamania to just do that one part and just repeat it a couple of times. I am the window. They're trying to be street smart. They're trying to be street fighters. I will continue saying what I said last week. I live in Queens, New York. I've had people beat the shit out of me, beat the shit out of my car. I've seen people beat the shit out of others. I've seen real gangsters, wannabe gangsters. I've seen people from the hood, and I've seen some whacked out shit over the years. Trust me when I tell you, people don't walk the streets with a plastic bat. We gotta hand him his ass. And trust me, if people are planning an attack on the streets, they're not sitting in an empty warehouse like, you know what, motherfucker, with a skateboard? Oh my God, he threw the skateboard. You know what would happen? Seriously, I don't want to break this pen because this is from Mohegan Sun, but I'd be like, fuck you. Twist you like a fucking pretzel. That's not streets, man. That looks goofy. But Sting dyed his hair. It was nice. Now the match is signed. You know, the signing bonus was for some Just for Men. You know, you got the dark brown now instead of the medium brown. Am I wrong? We're just trying to have some laughs. I'm not trying to be like overly critical. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's cinematic. I want it to be cinematic. I just don't want this. And trust me when I tell you, if you're going to use hood music, you better make sure you get somebody from the hood with some banging beats and stuff like that. Trust me, they don't play Sting violin music in the hood, you know? Somebody's about to take someone out, even with a baseball bat. You don't hear violins in the background. I'm prepared with more than one pen. I'm mad, though. This was a beautiful pen, man. And even at... So, Eddie Kingston versus Lance Archer. A lot of people out there didn't see that match. I watched it. Excellent. I tell you, AEW overall tonight didn't have the number of matches that NXT had, but what they had was pretty decent. Eddie Kingston and Lance Archer, when that match finished, I'm like, man, what a great way to start AEW Dynamite tonight. We had a little old school Lance Archer walking the ropes like Undertaker, but he doesn't just jump off and just punch someone. Like, he decides, do a moonsault. Guy's fucking great. Then there was one part where Lance Archer chokeslammed Eddie Kingston, picks him up in the ring, but instead of throwing him back down, he throws him over the top rope by the throat. So the ending of the match was a little cheesy. Lance Archer came out with nobody, no Jake. Eddie Kingston didn't come out with Butcher and the Blade. And we realized why later on. Towards the end of the match, Butcher and the Blade come out holding Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake the Snake Roberts, obviously they weren't going to brutalize him. You know, the man, you know, you got to be careful. And I'm being serious here. But they were just holding Jake Roberts by the arms of Jake Roberts. They probably just said to him, like, just pretend you're trying to take a shit and it won't come out. And he's got this grimacing look on his face. Lance Archer teases that he's going to go after him. I mean, I'm not trying to nitpick, but for how many consecutive weeks while Eddie Kingston and Butcher and the Blade and all of them in the ring, and then you hear music, and not only does Lance Archer come out, but Lance Archer power walks when he comes out. He's like, today, the Butcher and the Blade are teasing that they're going to beat the shit out of Jake the Snake Roberts, and Lance Archer just looks over the rope, doesn't charge them. Bunny passes some form of, like tape knuckles, not brass knuckles, but, something. And Eddie Kingston clocks Lance Archer with it and gets the win. It was a funny match, at points. But it was also really, really stiff. The facials that Eddie Kingston does is priceless. Lance Archer looks like he's having fun. And I know it looked like he had fun when he's throwing people through the roof and into garbage bins. But it's a different type of fun right now. And even though he lost, I don't think he lost anything. Right? No, Austin, am I wrong? Every time Lance Archer comes out, he doesn't just come out. He power walks. He power walks. I mean, I'm exaggerating here and I'm sitting down, but look what I'm talking about. So, after the match is over, Butcher and the Blade hit their finisher on Lance Archer. Eddie Kingston, the spinning back fist, that's what he tried to do before. Remember? Go back and look at that. It's fucking funny. Eddie Kingston, little things like that. I honestly thought Lance Archer was going to laugh. Gallows did something tonight too. Very, very rare, and I'm not joking when I say this, very rare that I watch a regular wrestling match on television. Indie shows, it's different. Indie shows are more corny, you laugh at almost everything. But very rare do I watch a match on television and I actually burst out laughing. And there was a point tonight in the main event, the Young Bucks, Gallows and Anderson taking on the Dark Order. I think it was John Silver was in the ring with Luke Gallows. Now, there's a big size difference. And they're trying to tease a little test of strength. And John Silver has his arm all the way up like this. And Gallows has his arm maybe you could do it a little lower. He has his arm all the way up like this. So, Gallows is trying to, you look at his face as he's doing this, and he's trying to be nice, and he's like, and when John Silver goes to grab him, he's like this. I fucking bursted out laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. Little things like that. Because when I see that, I think of like my little nephew. My little nephew, before he even knew how to walk, like he wanted the cookie. And I'm like, oh, you want the cookie? Here's the cookie. Here's the cookie. No. My fiance, hey, you want this pretzel? Nope. Even my dog, I would joke around when he was that's how I got him to speak. Hey, you want this biscuit? And he's like, speak. And then he would learn to speak. Oh my God, you got to look at that. All right, somebody's saying there's a little yellow tint. You know what? I think I figured it out the other day. I think I figured it out that, let's see. That might kind of fix it a little bit. What happened the other day, like a week ago, somebody said I looked like I had some type of like liver disease because I was extremely yellow. Is this a little better? Because I have some type of auto setting somewhere. How's that look? How does that look a little bit better? Jordans, do I look worse now? See, because in my screen, I look green. Okay, I don't look like a Simpson now. All right, so, but I mean, I could change it even a little bit further. I could, lower the hue a little bit, But there's an auto white balance somewhere that I have to adjust. So by the next show, no, Benjamin. Mish helped me out yesterday. All these people on YouTube that said to me a year ago, hey, DT, you need a little help? You let me know and everything. Oh, yeah. Could you let me know how come people that type in the chat 2 hours before I go live, how come by the time it goes live, the chats disappear? Oh, I have no idea. You fucking cocksucker. So nobody wants to help me. Mish yesterday, when I talked about Benjamin saying that I looked like a Simpson, he's like, yeah, you have your auto white balance on. And I'm like, stupid me. I didn't realize it. And it also has to do with the color shirts you got on. Because if I wear a different color shirt, I don't touch settings. as I do the shows each day. But for some reason, like one day I look yellow, one day I look like a zombie, one day I look like a Simpson. I look like, and I realize I'm wearing different color shirts when it happens. So anyway. So Eddie Kingston beats Lance Archer. Did you know that Jon Moxley likes to have sex in the morning because it starts out the day real nice? Jon Moxley, cutting a promo today, telling us the things that he likes, He says next week is going to be wild. I don't doubt it. Bernie Sanders actually put up shirts for sale. And he donated the money all the child. I'll tell you this much. I don't want to get into politics tonight. But I know a lot of you out there are Bernie supporters. And with a $25 trillion debt, you can't do what Bernie wants to do. If this was 20 years ago, I would have been 100% behind Bernie. But his heart is in a good place, man. And someone told me, DT, you want one of those shirts? And I said, yeah, give me the links and everything. So I ordered the shirt and it went to charity. So, yeah, it is the full shirt. See? Yeah. I like it. I actually was going to buy a poster and put them in the back. Did you see Monday's show when I did the graphic on Monday? I don't know if I could pull it up really quick. Let me see. Maybe I can pull it up really quick. This was from Monday. It should pop right up for me. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, this was from Monday. Let me pull this up. This was Monday. You know how hard it was to Photoshop him over Mish? Nothing against Mish. Mish, I love you, brother. But Mish, you're not the size of Bernie Sanders. I think Mish's head is the size of like Bernie Sanders' entire waistline. I had to Photoshop Bernie over Mish. I think I did a pretty damn good job of it. But anyway. So, Moxley cutting a feel-good promo. He likes to have simple things and everything, and next week's going to be wild, don't blink. Okay, all right. Because all I know for the last 2 months, Moxley's character has been damaged quite a bit. I mean, Moxley cut some real deep, passionate promos leading up to the match with Omega. And talking about violence, talking about his family, talking about this, and talking about, you're not going to, your family's not going to be proud of you, and other stuff. And now it feels like, I know it's only 1 week, but it kind of feels like a little bit of Goofy Dean. Am I wrong? It feels like a little bit of Goofy Dean. He was cutting, and this is the reason why I say it, he was cutting promos that the AEW title meant more to him than almost anything in this world, except for his wife and his upcoming child and everything. And now it's just like, hey, beach blast, feel good. Just doesn't feel like this guy wants to tear Kenny Omega apart. Yes, Trailer Park. He fought the lawyer. Remember the lawyer? Well, he hasn't been Goofy Dean all the time. He's been pretty much like, I do whatever I want. I walk wherever I want. But, I'll keep repeating it. Kenny Omega beats him, and they still keep pushing this storyline. I mean, those fucking awards today. You think when people laughed at them a couple of weeks ago that they would have tried to make those awards a little more serious? And like some oh my God moment was Kenny Omega winning the title and walking out of AEW. When CM Punk beat John Cena for the title and left the building and said he was going to Ring of Honor and other places, he left. Yes, storyline, worked out a new deal and everything like that. But there was no major controversy. I mean, he won the match. He showed up on Impact. He showed up on AEW the fucking following week to cut a promo. What do you mean he walked out of AEW? So you mean to tell me that when my girlfriend, when my fiance takes a cab home Sunday and she walks out the door to get in the cab to go home. Then I go on Twitter and say, look, everybody, my fiance just walked out the door. She just walked out on me. Come on. Come on, man. Seriously? It feels a little bit more like Goofy Dean. He went from the belt means everything to him and this is the most important belt in the world to now, hey, you know, I like to blow my load in the morning and I like this and I like that and next week's going to be wild. How's about Kenny Omega? I'm going to tear your fucking throat out. I'm going to make you eat the fucking belt. I don't know. Just my feelings. Now we get Sting and Darby in the warehouse. The warehouse is already all beat up. You want to impress me? Break fucking windows in a penthouse. I mean, that's like when you're fighting a zombie. You're fighting a zombie and the zombie feels no pain. I'm fighting Michael Myers right now. I'm fighting Jason. And then I like shoot him in the arm. And I shoot him and I look at everybody like, meanwhile, Jason and Michael Myers like, fuck is this? They're breaking windows in a warehouse that I wouldn't rent for $50 a month. Seriously. That's like, hey, look, everybody, you see this plastic bag? Now, obviously, this plastic bag, well, I might be able to use it as a condom. It is a little small, but see this plastic bag? This is going in the garbage when we're done with the show. I don't remember what's in it. But that's like, hey, Taz, see this? This is you. They're breaking windows on a fucking warehouse that's ready to be fucking condemned. That ain't impressive. That's not impressive. But, like I said, street fight, let's see what happens. Varsity Blondes versus MJF, Chris Jericho. Fun match. You know, last time we saw Griff Garrison and MJF was taunting him with the microphone. This match was a little bit more competitive. In the end, Jericho, like I said earlier, hit the Lionsault, got the win. You know, they're teasing that dissension with MJF and Sammy Guevara, which, again, I like that storyline between the two of them. But if you follow the overall storyline for the last couple of weeks, it makes no sense. What happened to, you know, the inner circle, you know, ultimatum or whatever it was, that we have to be on the same page, we have to get along, we have to do this, we have to do that. And then they're still doing these skits. Like, everything's just meaningless. But you could see Griff Garrison improving right before our eyes. Is he going to be a champion anytime soon? No. He's got so much time ahead in his career. If he keeps at it, stays out of trouble, avoids injury, he's good. He's going to be something. He kind of reminds me a little bit of like Lenny Lane a little bit. Not Lenny and Lodi, Lenny Lane. Not Lenny Lane when they thought that he was like, he looked an awful lot like Chris Jericho. Like Lenny Lane when he first started, kind of reminds me of that. But I like Griff Garrison. When they had him teaming with Brian Pillman Jr. originally, I said, I like it. I like it. You could see some up-and-coming stars or wrestlers that have potential to be stars. Griff Garrison, I like. They lost today, but honestly, I know people are frustrated about how they use Brian Pillman Jr. Brian Pillman Jr. and some other federations were main eventing cards. Over here, you know, but you want to know something? The reason why I don't think he's lost any stock is because I think back to, and I know this is in the 80s, but I think back to when I used to watch wrestling on the 80s. Once we didn't get great matches on television all that often, but what would happen a lot is you would have like a big tag team. Even you want to use Demolition, for example, for, you know, to be a little bit more contemporary. Demolition would take on two people, and one of them might be Rick Bartel, but the other person would be Joe Blow. You know what I mean? So you'd have like a star on the opposite side, but then he would pair up with Joe Blow, and Joe Blow would ultimately be the one that would blow. So you kind of felt that originally with Brian Pillman Jr., like, oh, okay, you know, Griff Garrison bringing this down a little bit. But VJ saying Rick Martel, I'm not saying he looks like Griff Garrison. I'm saying like you would have on regular television a big-time tag team, and then on the opposite side, you would have a star. But then his tag partner would be enhancement, to say it politely. You know, I loved S.T. Jones growing up. I met him a few times. Guy was a really, really cool guy. Always wanted to put my finger in, you know, like, just like Abby with the, you know, with his forehead. And I almost had the opportunity. You know, I managed Abby once, right? Sort of managed Abby once. If you ever saw the infamous photo of me standing over Louis when I stapled the $20 to his head, I actually technically managed Abby that night. I got to put the footage online. It's pretty funny. I have tons of footage. Oh, I don't know if we'll be able to put it on for tomorrow. I think we're going to save stuff like that for Thursdays because Thursdays are turning wacky, but everybody likes it. So maybe next week we'll put on some horrible Don Tony managing stuff because it's pretty wild stuff. Are we going to hear Lenny tomorrow? Yeah, I could put something together tomorrow with Lenny. Lenny's easy stuff. I just got to, you know, edit some of it out. Because there's some clips where he just says some stuff way too awful. Uses the N-word, uses a lot of horrible words, and I don't even think that's something to laugh at. So I'll probably edit it a little bit. So anyway, so the Inner Circle, you know, we still see MJF and Guevara having a little bit of issues, say it bluntly. Pac talking about his match next week. Calls Kenny Omega a manipulator, a cheater. I'm looking forward to that match. That match just sounds like fun. The Good Brothers, Kenny Omega versus Pac, Moxley, you know, and Ray Phoenix. It sounds like fun. But we need to also have some strong storyline involved. Let's see where it goes from here. Now. Shaq. Shaq challenged Cody. Now, I wish I could brag a little bit more about this, but a lot of you out there also said the same thing a couple of weeks ago. When Cody did that waiting room segment, and then you had Jade Cargill come out and pie face Cody, and then Red Velvet showed up and there was this brawl and everything. That night, I said it and a lot of you out there said it. Shaq and Red Velvet now batting for Brandy Shaq and Jade Cargill versus Cody and now batting for Brandy Rhodes, Red Velvet. That's exactly what they're going to do. If there's anything about a takeaway about tonight's wrestling, whether it was AEW or NXT, it was a very predictable night. Last week, almost all of you said Jungle Boy's going to win this one. He had to, the way they set it up. Then you have Luchasaurus handcuffed to, you know, Dax's partner, and oh my God, we got to see Tully Blanchard jump off the top rope today and help with the spike pile driver. Loved it. I don't think Tully was winded, and I don't think he got hurt. I think he was just so pumped up to do that. After he was done, he's like, I think he just got into that moment, man. It was nice. But look, Shaq versus Cody, I'm not going to lie. In the title for tonight's show, here, I put Shaq versus Cody. And the only reason why I put that is because I don't have enough room to add all the names I want to add. Let's be clear about this. Just like I said even yesterday on Patreon, and I'm going to repeat it later this week, the WWE Network was not sold. All of these goofs that are clickbaiting with titles and all this stuff, WWE Network sold. It wasn't sold. NBC Universal is renting the WWE Network in the United States for 5 years. If they don't come to a new agreement 5 years from now, the WWE Network will be available again in the United States. Period. Sold is, hey everybody, do you want to buy this WWE Network unused card that I was stupidly dumb to buy 6 of them? Now I don't know what to do with them and that's 100% true. I bought these fucking cards to give away. Now I can't even use them. But no, but that's like, look, I sell this for you for $20 and you say, I'll take it. If I sell it to you, that means I don't have it anymore. WWE Network was not sold. So I say this to you. Shaq is not taking on Cody. It's not going to be Shaq versus Cody. It is going to be Shaq and Jade Cargill versus Cody and Red Velvet. Like we said a couple of weeks ago, Brandy obviously cannot compete because she's pregnant. So Red Velvet is taking her spot. And you know what? Good for Red Velvet. The promo tonight was a little off because Red Velvet saying, I'm sick and tired of being jumped. And I'm like, didn't you jump Jade Cargill in the waiting room segment? Again, it's not her fault, but, come on. Half the things she said made no sense. But she's not bad in the ring. She's getting a nice rub right now. Let's see what happens. I'm not shitting on it. Roger. If he tuned in late, he's like, why is he doing this? I'll give you a little hint. There's your hint. Now you have to go back and see why I played that. But Jade Cargill has a lot to go in the ring. Shaq is not going to do much. Cody will take most of the bumps. But you're going to see very little Shaq as far as defense and stuff. You're going to see mostly Jade Cargill and Red Velvet. You'll see a little bit of interaction, but, it is what it is. It is what it is. VJ says, what you ordered, I ordered Sasha Banks on the menu, and I got Red Velvet in return. I don't think that's fair to compare them. Because at some point, when Sasha Banks first got into wrestling, she didn't have any status, didn't have much experience, and maybe people joked about her and said, oh, we X for blah, 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 we got Sasha Banks. So everybody's got to start somewhere, for real. So I actually think Red Velvet is not bad. And I will say this, of all the women that they have on the roster, I think Red Velvet might be the best choice. There are other women, don't get me wrong, there are other women that wrestle a little bit better than Red Velvet. But as far as the attitude, being a little bit Brandy-ish in her style and the way she talks and her attitude and anger, I think she fits it perfectly. So let's see how it's executed. I don't think this is going to be pre-recorded. I'm pretty convinced that the street fight will be cinematic. I don't think Shaq and his tag match will be cinematic, pre-recorded. I mean, it would be kind of goofy to do a pre-recorded tag match. So we'll see what happens. Take note that they didn't put Big Swall in this role. I'm just saying. I'm not crapping on Big Swall. I'm a fan of hers. But I could honestly say, looking back at the last 12 months, I am very disappointed in the progression of Big Swall. Maybe it's lack of opportunity. I don't take it too seriously because COVID has affected everybody, not just physically, but emotionally. But Big Swall in my opinion, over the last, because there's been some wrestlers that have taken those 12 months and run with it. Raquel Gonzalez, Shotzi Blackheart. I mean, we could go on and on and on. AEW, you know, Jungle Boy, you could get into a bunch of people. There are a lot of people that took 2021 and took the ultimate chicken shit and turned it into some pretty good chicken salad. I don't feel that way about Big Swall right now. So, that segment with Red Velvet, Cody's in the ring first. And he's talking about Shaq's challenge. Arn Anderson is there, and Arn Anderson is bringing up 1985, if Cody remembers anything about June 29th. And he's bringing up when Arn watched Dusty Rhodes fight Tully Blanchard. And Arn's basically using this to say over the last 2 weeks he's seen something, and it's the fire of Red Velvet to step up. And that's where we're going with this. Now, Hangman Page takes on Ryan Nemeth, the younger brother of Dolph Ziggler. Match was okay. Little bit odd. Matt Hardy comes out halfway into the match, and we don't know at first who Matt Hardy is scouting. Now, as far as I know, Ryan Nemeth is not under contract. By the way, I'm trying to find out about Trey Miguel because I talked to someone that I kind of trust, and he said that the deal with Trey Miguel is very, very short, that they might work on something long-term. I don't know if that's true, but person I talked to has pretty good sources, and I know nobody's reporting this right now. I'm trying to get to the bottom of that. But Matt Hardy's at ringside, and he's cheering on, and we don't know who he's cheering on. Hangman Page, ends up getting the win. A lot of, of his power moves, hits a buckshot lariat. It looked a little bit sloppy on Ryan Nemeth's part because he was set up for it. He was like waiting for it. But after the match is over, Benjamin's saying, how come Dolph's brother has never been in the WWE? Look, there's a lot of nerves tonight as well. But you might have gotten a little bit of your answer tonight. Maybe they just didn't feel that he had the potential like Dolph Ziggler did. But he is younger, and there's always chance to improve. But he ends up losing the match. Matt Hardy wins. Matt Hardy is clapping for Hangman Page. Matt Hardy walks up the rampway, and Hangman Page tells him come back to the ring. And here you see Tony Schiavone walking down with the microphone. I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes. And Hangman Page wants to know why Matt Hardy was there. And Matt Hardy is bringing up how, he was screwed by, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and this and that. And he was, basically, just ditched by three men. And then Matt Hardy is pretty much saying that he appreciates Hangman Page and doesn't actually say that he wants to manage Hangman Page, but instead he says that he sees Hangman Page, if I remember correctly, dressing in the hallway right next to catering. And Matt Hardy has this bigger locker room, this huge locker room. And Matt Hardy tells Hangman Page, you could get dressed in our locker room. That, we have 2 weeks in a row of some innuendos. I don't know if anybody looked at it that way today, but it looked like that to me. That last week, it almost looked like a marriage proposal to Hangman Page. And this week, you have Matt Hardy telling him, you could get dressed in my locker room. If I said to anybody in my neighborhood, hey, you could get dressed in my bedroom, slapped in the face. Hangman, you could get dressed in the... I don't know. It was a little weird. It was a little weird. Anyway. Dax Harwood loses to Jungle Boy. As I said at the beginning of this show, I wish JR would have said, tonight Jungle Boy became a man. That match was off the hook. you realize why FTR are so valuable. They may be bland to some people out there, maybe a little generic, but they are ring technicians. They tell stories. They have great mannerisms, facial expressions. They know how to, counter. They know how to take shots, give shots. They know how to make their opponent look great as well. And I thought Dax Harwood should get just as much credit today for what Jungle Boy did in that ring. It was a fun match. The live fans made it even more fun with the Fandango-esque singing of that song. And in the end, Jungle Boy, gets the win, hits the snare trap submission. And it's like a crossface. I don't think it was any surprise. I just didn't think this match was going to be that great. I actually expected some bullshit finish. Somebody gets distracted, Dax looks the other way, gets rolled up, and gets the win. No, this was pretty much a clean finish. Now, after the match was over, FTR hits the ring. They attack Jungle Boy. They handcuff Luchasaurus to the rope. They did the spot pile driver. Both members of FTR set up Jungle Boy, and Tully Blanchard climbs to the top rope and jumps off, which was nice. But then they teased that they were going to cut Luchasaurus' hair. Yeah, Marco Stunt and a lot of members of the roster come out and stop that. And this obviously is going to set up another match. Now, for people out there that may think, because Tully got a little bit involved, would they do FTR and Tully versus Luchasaurus? I don't think that's a good idea. Even if Tully takes a couple of innocent shots from Marco Stunt, I don't think you put Tully Blanchard in that ring at all. I don't like that idea. I know some people are going to propose that idea. I don't like it. But it was an awesome match. If you did not see it, go check it out. Britt Baker versus Shauna, not a bad match. As I said earlier, Britt Baker is obviously getting better in the ring. It was not smooth as silk, but it did what it needed to do. She's wearing the pink, purplish glove, latex glove on her right hand, and she uses that for the mandible claw because she's got gloves on. You're not going to touch somebody's saliva without gloves right now. Every time I see the mandible claw, I always think back to Mick Foley when he did all those stand-up acts and just said, whenever I gave him mandible claw, why didn't just somebody bite on my fingers? Break the hold. But, after the match is over, Britt Baker trying to continue the attack on Shauna. Thunder Rosa comes out, makes the save. Britt Baker and Reba get out of Dodge, and it sets up the match from next week. So next week we have their match. We have the wedding next week, the tag team battle royal. We have Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus Moxley, Pac, and Rey Fenix. And soon, we don't know when, but soon, Rio will be coming back to the States, taking on Serena Deeb in the first round of the Eliminator Tournament. Main event tonight, I like the Dark Order now. And I've said it a few times already. It feels more like a fraternity than a cult, which is a good thing. But the main event, to me, it kind of fell flat. Just seeing the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers in the same ring, it's cool because we haven't seen that in 5 years. But still, after them beating up on Don Callis, I expected a receipt. Didn't happen. Seeing them do the symbol, the Too Sweet, with no repercussions, what happened to Don Callis, I thought was kind of goofy. The match with the Dark Order, nothing against the Dark Order, but you mean to tell me you couldn't get more name value opponents for these guys? I don't know if I would have closed out. I'll tell you the truth. If I knew the match was going to be that good, I would have closed out Dynamite with Jungle Boy versus Dax. I don't think anybody would have had a problem with that. But one side of the match felt big time wrestlers, but in the end, you have them getting the win. The Young Bucks, when they hit that tombstone, that the move that they do, it looked a little bit sloppy as well. I don't know. Other than Gallows with his facials, like I said earlier, I don't know. The match kind of fell flat for me. But they teased the Young Bucks, if they win this Battle Royal, that they could choose whoever they want to face. And you could almost feel where this is going. They're going to challenge the Good Brothers. Somehow, the Good Brothers are going to accept. And then after the match is over, Rey Fenix hits the ring. And then Rey Fenix, attacks the Young Bucks. Obviously he wants to get to the Good Brothers after what happened last week. But I'm like, okay, are the Young Bucks now heels again? What happened 2 weeks ago when they got stood up? It's just, I don't know. It feels a little messy. The Meltzer driver. It was very, very sloppy. Very sloppy. So now we go to NXT. And NXT, I got to be honest with you, everyone. NXT had really, really good in-ring action today. It was fun. But a lot of the names involved, I just don't see as a ratings draw. Take note, that rant that I said 2 weeks ago about Everrise and a few others, a lot of those people we were talking about have not been seen again. I mean, I'm not saying that they listen to us right there, but I'm just saying, gets to a point where you got to make some decisions. We also said last week we had a bad feeling that the grizzled young veterans might be going a lot further in this tournament. And they opened up tonight, MSK versus Drake Maverick and Killian Dane. Now, I don't need to repeat how much I like MSK. They feel like a beautiful fit in NXT. They are the underdogs. And the night's match was a lot of fun. The problem is they have done next to nothing with Killian Dane or Drake Maverick to even want us to get behind them to go further. So that's the thing with the tournament. You want certain teams to go further. And there was nothing about Killian Dane and Drake Maverick, as much as I like Drake Maverick, nothing about that team that makes me want to see them go further. They've done a horrendous job using them as a tag team. And they had to use that stupid storyline where Killian Dane got taken out by the Undisputed Era, not the Undisputed Era, of McAfee, or Lorcan, Birch, and Dunne, with that black and white footage instead of color, with that blood looked like he got shot in the heart. There was so much blood on the floor. That fucked up the team. Too many gaps in the comedy segments. And, I was thinking about this today. Maybe there is news on this. Maybe somebody did an interview. Maybe somebody reported this. But I was thinking about the names today, Wes Lee and Nash Carter. Is there any possibility that Nash Carter could be a little tribute to Dixie Carter, or just a play on words? Because I was thinking about it. Carter, Nashville, Tennessee. That's where Impact Wrestling TNA came from. And Carter is the last name for Dixie Carter. Nash Carter. It was just my mind racing earlier. Just something I was thinking about. Maybe someone has already come up with something like that. I have no idea. I was just thinking about it earlier. And if that's the case, I got to figure out where Wes Lee comes into play. Maybe Wes, little tribute to Gerald Briscoe's son, and maybe Lee is someone else. I don't know. Be pretty awesome if that ends up being the case. I always like to think outside the box, even if it ends up not being. But anyway, Nash Carter and Wes Lee, they hit their heart attack blockbuster. And Nash Carter pins Drake Maverick, gets the win. And, it was fun. I like that MSK goes further in the tournament. Now, I have the new pairings that I'll read to you, the update on the tournament after we get through the results. So, they show Lorcan and Birch arriving in the building. Pete Dunne is driving, so we think that Pete Dunne just dropped him off and Pete Dunne left. That ended up not being the case. Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. who are now my favorites to win the Dusty Classic. They beat Jessie Camilla and Aaliyah. All this hype with the Robert Stone brand tonight with it was much of nothing. I'll tell you why Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai have quickly become my favorites. Because for about 3 to 4 weeks now, since War Games, I said to all of you that we were getting a 3-way or a 4-way with Io Shirai. And I said it looks like it's going to be Mercedes Martinez, Toni Storm, and Raquel Gonzalez. Well, tonight, we got 2 of the 3 beating up Io Shirai. But the one person that was absent was Raquel Gonzalez. Suddenly, Raquel Gonzalez, yes, Robert Stone thing is still a brand, John, believe it or not. But Raquel Gonzalez no longer coming out there to confront Io Shirai. I understand she's in this Dusty Classic, but just storyline-wise, she disappeared. But tonight, as we've been saying for almost a month, it looks like Io Shirai will be having that 3-way. So the fact that they're not putting Raquel Gonzalez in this as well, she's got to come out on top in this. She's got to come out of this with something. Unless she's going to be the one to take the title off of Io Shirai, maybe a month or 2 from now. But the fact that she didn't come out to get into it with Io Shirai tells me that Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai may end up being the favorites to win this. I'm telling you, man, I agree with you, Soulfly. Raquel Gonzalez has really turned into a beast, man. I know a lot of people have compared certain women wrestlers to China. To me, she reminds me more of China than, I'm not saying that she has mannerisms like China, but just her presence, her intimidation. It's just fit, and I'm enjoying it. Second week in a row, no Xia Li match. I understand you're doing this Dusty tournament, but Jesus Christ, don't fucking start slacking on this stuff. They did fabulous with Xia Li. This is 2 weeks in a row now. Nothing. By the way, they teased tonight the Cruiserweight title match with Santos Escobar versus Kurt Stallion. We think it's happening. And then later on in the night, it's one thing if Kurt Stallion is totally unconscious in storyline and William Regal's forced to cancel the match. But when Kurt Stallion's on the floor and he's like, I got a boo-boo. Oh, who did it? The Gato Fantasma. And William Regal tells, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. He tells Santos Escobar, you're having the match next week. And if anything happens to Kurt Stallion, basically, I guess Escobar loses the title. Now, in storyline, if that's true, if I'm Kurt Stallion, I punch myself in the face next week. I crack a TV over my head. I lay out on the floor bleeding in the back. What happened? Santos Escobar attacked me again. I get the title. Kurt Stallion, come on, you can't be that stupid. I hated that today. I don't know if they just were bad on time today and couldn't dedicate time for that match, or maybe they had no intention on having a match tonight, but it was scrapped. Yes, Psycho, Raquel is definitely money. Definitely money. And yes, VJ, NXT, they've done a fabulous job with the Japanese women that have come in. Even Asuka. And Asuka, I don't think she's damaged goods yet, but the stuff with Alexa Bliss, we've talked about that on Monday. It's not anything against Alexa Bliss, but suddenly Asuka's afraid when somebody turns their head backwards, and puts, eyeliner on and black lipstick. So now we get a little vignette. Scarlett still with the tarot cards. This time around, she pulls the card that says obliteration. In my opinion, is just to knock a couple of weeks off while other stuff is going on, which is perfectly fine. She nails it perfectly. Karrion Kross They're keeping on the sideline. Friday, when I get into Royal Rumble predictions, I will get into Friday who I think from NXT is going to be in the Royal Rumble, possibly. Now, I know what you're going to say to me. Oh, well, NXT's not in the Royal Rumble. Well, there's some names that I think may be called up. It's possible. I will get into that on Friday. But, Scarlett is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Karrion Kross as well. But this keeps the eye on the prize, the storyline, which is the right way to go. We have, I hope Tegan Nox is returning, because suddenly Tegan Nox is getting a lot of press from WWE. They had a little feature on NXT that she's going to be on a YouTube channel for a workout episode. She's trying really hard to return. I mean, if anybody is not aware of Tegan Nox's history of injuries, a lot of people are worried that this latest injury, that was it. So let's hope that she could bounce back. Let's hope. Tyler Rust beat someone. They only said his last name, which was Rios. I don't know. It was okay match. I mean, Tyler Rust, he lost last week. And I was trying to figure out if Malcolm Bivens last week was a babyface or a heel. Today he did his Sonny Ono impersonation, took a selfie, after the match was over. It was an okay match. I was surprised at how many people online were actually really praising Rios' work. It'd been nice if they would have at least mentioned his name. I did not catch it. I don't know if anybody else out there. Don't write essay, because I will not take your word for it. But it was an okay match. The next match, and I'm sorry for saying this, but it continues for me. Arturo. John, you didn't see NXT. Arturo Ruas is recovering from surgery. So, next match, which, I'm sorry, man. Maybe you could tell me in the comment section, because as you know now, I mingle with everyone. I communicate. It may take a day or two, but I do answer back everybody. Let me know, for anyone out there that are really enjoying the Grizzled Young Veterans, let me know what about them that you connect with. Because for me, I just don't connect with them at all. And I know one of them kind of looks like Attitude Era Shawn Michaels. And trust me when I tell you, somebody in NXT or WWE definitely thinks he's got an awesome look, but just something about them that does not click. And sorry, having them take on Kushida and Leon Ruff, it just, to me, it was a fun match. I know they're solid workers. There's no question they're great workers. But, this is a WWE product. And you have to be characters also. That's, their formula. You look at wrestlers that are in WWE or NXT that don't have a personality to them, you could probably count them on one hand. It is very, very rare. But yeah, let me know in the comments section after the show. Sell me on them. Because a lot of you out there sold me on Pat McAfee. And I appreciated that, because his match with Adam Cole was great. And he did a great job in War Games. We haven't seen him since. But, I'd like to see a little bit more. Sell me on the Grizzled Young Veterans in the comment section. So, but they had a decent match with Leon Ruff and Kushida. But, again, in the end, I just had a hard time getting into this match. They hit the ticket to Mayhem for the win. They advance. And then, because we all felt that Gargano and Kushida were going to have a program, the Way hit the ring. Gargano and Kushida are going at it a little bit. You have, and it was one funny point, Austin Theory takes out Leon Ruff, and he's outside the ring. And along the barricade, you have Dexter Lumis. He just has his hands on the barricade, and he's just staring at Austin Theory. Austin turns around, and he's like, and he got startled. And kudos to Dexter Lumis for keeping the straight face. Funny as shit. So I don't know. Is Dexter Lumis going to be the latest person to job out to Austin to Theory? I like Dexter Lumis. I'm a little curious as to why WWE is using him this way. He's got an awful lot of losses. But Gargano and Kushida are going to continue their program. As I said earlier, Toni Storm, she came out, cut a promo. She wants Io Shirai. Io Shirai comes out and just basically, I don't like you. They start brawling. Mercedes Martinez comes out. And you knew it was going to be a three-way. The minute Mercedes Martinez starts getting beat up by Io Shirai, Toni Storm pulls Mercedes Martinez out of the ring to get her out of Dodge. You think they're working together until Toni Storm throws Mercedes Martinez spine first into the edge of the ring apron. So she's going against Mercedes. So now you see it. The three-way is coming. And I have no problem with it. I like that they're giving Mercedes Martinez a little bit of an opportunity. Let's see how far it goes. But Io Shirai looks like we'll be taking on Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez in a three-way dance. So we'll see. This match almost feels like it replaced the Cruiserweight title match. We get a return match, Bronson Reed versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. You know that they're teasing turning Isaiah Swerve Scott heel. And Bronson Reed gets the win once again. I freaking love Bronson Reed's splash. No one should ever get up from that splash. Just like when Yokozuna used to do the bonsai drop, no one should ever get up from that. And it's impressive. Bronson Reed, I'm really starting to enjoy. And, we'll see where it goes from here. But this match just felt like it was thrown in there. And although a decent match, I don't know. A lot of matches tonight, you know what this tonight felt like? It felt like almost like a one-match card. That the matches on the undercard were solid, don't get me wrong. But, I think they were banking on everybody tuning in to see Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly. The problem is they made it a non-title match. You make it a non-title match, that increases the chances of the opponents winning. And that makes it a little bit less, I don't want to know in advance who's going to win. Almost every match tonight had a predictable outcome, including, like I said 10 times, Jungle Boy and Dax. We all thought last week that Jungle Boy was definitely going to win it. The way it was being set up, he had to win it. Everything tonight felt awfully predictable. But Bronson Reed gets the win. So now, before I just get into the main event briefly, the matches we get next week. Here are the remaining brackets for each side, and I'll tell you which matches happen next week. MSK will be taking on the winners of Legado del Fantasma versus Lucha House Party. Whoever wins between MSK and whoever their opponents will be will go on to the finals, which means that either MSK, Lucha House Party, or Legado del Fantasma are going to the finals. Plain simple. On the opposite side, you have grizzled young veterans who are going to be taking on the winners of, which is going to be my favorite match, I think, of the whole entire tournament. Adam Cole and Roderick Strong versus Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. So, on the opposite side, you either going to have the grizzled young veterans, Roderick Strong and Adam Cole, or Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher in the finals. For me, if it was up to me, I'd love to see MSK versus Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher in the finals. And if that were to happen, I would be fine with either team getting it. But next week, we will have the Lucha House Party versus Legado del Fantasma. We will also see next week Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher versus Roderick Strong and Adam Cole. We will also have the Cruiserweight title next week as well. So that's already 3 pretty damn good matches to look forward to. This is not your Raw SmackDown Lucha House Party, by the way. On the women's side, right now we have still left Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter. They will be taking on Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. I think the winners of that match go on to the finals. On the opposite side, we still have a quarterfinals match to happen. You have Marina Shafir and Zoe Stark. They're going to be taking on Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon. The winners of that match will then take on Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. So right now, my early thinking is we may get Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon versus Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez in the finals. That I'm not saying that I want it to go that way, but that's where I kind of feel it where it's going. Undisputed Era versus MSK would be just fine as well. I mean, I just don't want to see the grizzled young veterans in the finals. Again, nothing personal against them, but there's something about them that just does not click with me. So like I said, please sell me on these guys, why I should really start getting into them, because I just don't feel it yet. So, main event tonight, Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor. They defeat Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. And if you notice, something happened after the match if this is why they did it, give NXT credit for thinking one step ahead. If you think one step ahead, then you have a better chance of making what happens now make sense. The match was fun. I'm still not feeling Lorcan and Burch. They had a nice rub from Pete Dunne, nice rub from, oh my God, just drew a freaking blank, Pat McAfee. But without those two guys, just feels like a generic tag team. Put it this way, fans that tune in on Wednesdays, I don't think are enamored like, oh, I got to see Lorcan and Burch. It's usually I got to see who's facing Lorcan and Burch. And I'm wondering, remember I said a couple of weeks ago that I got an invite for NXT to be on Thunderdome and I never even applied? One of the things when I was looking at the email is everybody in Thunderdome for Wednesdays has to be 18 and over. And it kind of struck me today that maybe the reason why is because the younger demographic tends to change the channel to go to AEW. And the older demographic seems to stick to NXT. I'm not saying 18 to 25 or 18 to 34 favor NXT. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that the older the fans, the more of a chance they stay with NXT for the night. Maybe that's the reason why. But when they made it a non-title match, it took a lot away from me. Because now the champions could win, could lose, no titles change hands. But for me, if the champions lose, then that means Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly should get a tag title shot. And yeah, Neil, thank you. It's just me, again, thinking outside the box. I try to make sense out of everything. I mean, you had Kyle O'Reilly get the submission win on Burch, Danny Burch. And it was a great match. It was fun. The crowd was into it. I enjoyed it tremendously. But it was very predictable. After the match was over, and I keep looking at the time because I definitely want to finish in 2 hours, and we will, thank God. You know, the match is over, and we still have about 3 minutes left. And I'm saying to myself, okay, something's got to happen. There's still 3 minutes left. And what happens is you get Pete Dunne, who everybody thought was not there. I guess people didn't realize if Pete Dunne dropped them off, were they going to walk home? I mean, it's my common sense. If I drop somebody off, I'm probably going to have to pick them up to take them home. So Pete Dunne nails Kyle O'Reilly from behind, takes him out. And then you basically have Lorcan and Birch and Pete Dunne wailing on Finn Balor. Lorcan and Birch are holding Finn Balor in the ring, and Pete Dunne basically answers what we all would have asked tonight. Hey, that means Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor should get a title shot now. Well, that's not happening. Because what did Pete Dunne do? Pete Dunne, and here's another mannerism that I got a kick out of. They teased that Pete Dunne was going to stretch Finn Balor's fingers, break him, whatever you want to call it. And he's got his hand. And next thing you know, you see Roderick Strong and Adam Cole walking down the ring to basically make the save. And they're walking slow. So Pete Dunne is like, and he yanks the fingers anyway, and then he runs out, which I thought was priceless because it just made sense. I'm a Simpson again? No. Oh, yeah, you know why? Because I'm sitting back a little bit. I bet you that's it. Yeah, I'm going to take the auto color off tomorrow. We're going to be done in like 2 minutes. 2 minutes. But, so Pete Dunne, Undisputed Era hitting the ring, but they're taking their sweet-ass time. So Pete Dunne's got Finn Balor's fingers. He's like, fuck it. And he does it anyway, and he leaves. That is to justify why Finn Balor is not going to team up with Kyle O'Reilly to take on Lorcan and Birch for the title. As far as I think, they're going to say Finn Balor's hand is injured. That's my thinking. And, you know, kind of a cheesy way to get out of it. But now I think to myself, okay, the fact that Adam Cole and Roderick Strong came down to the ring with the stare down makes me think that Adam Cole and Roderick Strong are going to lose to Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa, and then Cole and Strong may go after the tag titles. Again, thinking one step ahead. Benjamin says I've been yellow all night. See, that's why I shouldn't have messed with colors before. I should have just done something very simple. Should have done something like this. Auto, kind of auto white balance. It tells me, okay, pick an area that's white, which I would do this, and leave it like that. Zombie DT. I will fix it tomorrow. I promise you. You know what I think happens when I go like this? It picks up on Bernie Sanders' white hair, and the auto white balance goes all out of whack. But anyway, so that's how we close off NXT. Fun show. You know, a couple of things, you know, not so great. Jaundice. I promise you it'll be fixed tomorrow. I could fix it literally in 2 seconds if I want to. I just don't want to start adjusting camera colors. But I could literally, seriously, I could literally just do stuff like this. And just clear this out. Look. Is that better? I bet you that's better, right? Is that a little better? Yeah, see, now everybody's like, oh, it looks great now. Now my skin looks a little pink. Benjamin says I look like a rainbow. Yeah, now everybody says the color looks good. Like I said, I just got to do a couple of quick adjustments. Like I said, tonight was like a little bit off. But, yeah, the funny thing is the color will stay this way. If I wash this shirt tonight and wear it tomorrow, the auto white balance will still match up and the color will be exactly the same. Rainbow. Taste the rainbow. So tonight's show's ratings, we weren't that far off last week. I think AEW wins again. They had two really, really good matches, and the main event had some quality names. Dark Order, all right, but still, Gallows and Anderson, Young Bucks, a little bit, you know, uneventful, but still nonetheless big names. I think that will obviously be a draw. So I'm going to go with AEW winning this week, and they're going to do 855,000. Might be slightly less than last week, but I'm going to go with 855. On the NXT side, you know, some of those matches, although good, I just don't see fans in droves tuning in. So I think it's going to be a disappointing number. I'm going to say NXT, if AEW does 855, I'm going to say NXT is going to do 639. 855 to 639, which is, well, that's awful lot. That's almost a 200,000 viewership difference. More than that. No, you know what? I'll go 669. I'll give him 30,000 more. I'll say 669. 855 to 669. And you know what? If that ends up being, you know, that's about 859. That's 1.5. That's awful lot. 1.5 million. They're not doing that. All right, let's change this again. Let's go with AEW 841 and NXT 611. 841 to 611. I'm going to stick with that. Probably be way off, but I just can't see doing more than 1.4 million viewers this week. So, but anyway, Darren, have a good night, my friend. Time for bed. 12 midnight. I know. I'm going to get out of here as well. I'm glad we got it done in 2 hours. About 40 minutes less than last week, which is kind of a lot if you think about it. So, but don't forget, tomorrow night, 10:05 p.m., I will be right here once again. We will do straight up Q&A, ask anything, whatever is on your mind. Nothing is out of bounds. You want to talk sports, you want to talk politics, you want to talk news, you want to talk wrestling, you want to talk personal stuff. I mean, we just go all over the place. And look, I don't know how to take this. I've had quite a few of you say Thursday night has suddenly become your favorite night of the week, you know, because obviously we're talking more like interests, not just wrestling recaps. So, but yeah, join me tomorrow night. We'll have a fun show. We'll give out that Ronda Rousey pick, and it'll be a Who Am I contest. Like I said, I'll think about it tonight and tomorrow, who I'm going to choose. And I will fix the colors for sure. We will have no issues with color from now on. I never, ever in a million years ever thought that it was a simple auto white balance setting. But Mish picked it up like that. So thank you all. As always, much love. As I say, if you don't mind, before you leave, if you enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up, hit that like button. That tells YouTube that you enjoyed the show, and the more that happens, the more they recommend it to others, and that's how we get, you know, like new people checking out the shows. And if you're not doing nothing tomorrow night at 10:05, join me here. We'll have fun. We'll, we'll talk about whatever. I mean, these are all your shows, obviously, but tomorrow I sit back with no notes, and whatever our live audience wants to talk about, that's what we talk about. So, all right, everybody, take care, be well. I catch you all again Thursday night, 10:05 p.m. Eastern, and take care, be well. Ciao, everybody.